Yo, welcome back to another episode here on the Crash Out League. It is your host, A-Dub, and I'm back here once again to let you know what's going on around the league. Today, you guys are only getting me and just me today. Manny had other things he had to handle. He had to step away from the show this week, but I promise you he'll be back with the same energy, even more hype going into the playoffs coming next week. So just hold on tight. I know y'all gonna miss him, but just deal with me today. Hopefully, I'm entertaining enough for you guys. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go over the previous weeks that went down here in the Crash Hour League. As you can see, there was a lot of things that went down, a lot of playoff implication games that went about, and ultimately put a lot of teams in a competing spot by just handling their business this week or not handling their business this week. But just based off these right here, our game of the week will be Smooth Criminal versus Mo City Menace. It honestly came down to coaches putting in the right players. Now, Smooth Criminal was in a tough position. He needed this win to be able to put in a better spot and able for him to make the playoffs. And now it's just an even tougher road for him, and we'll talk about that later. But ultimately he wasn't able to put in the right guy. Like he got Matt Stafford in here, a quarterback that went for 9 points, had a rough game against Miami Dolphins with no touchdowns, and ended up throwing a pick in that game as well. When he had Pat Mahomes on his bench, who went against the Denver Broncos, and yeah, he only threw for one touchdown, but he also got 16 points. Now, those 16 points versus that 9 points will ultimately get him the win that he needed against Mo City Menace. Now, he ended up not doing it, and it cost him a lot. Shout out to Coach Preach over there at Mo City Menace getting it done. We believe this is his first time actually beating the organization Smooth Criminal since the league has started. So, shout out to Coach Preach, man. You handle up and you put yourself in a better spot, competing for the playoffs. Now, another game that we're gonna go with for game of the week that went down to the wire, and it's pretty surprising to pick this game, but God bless Comerica versus Team DMV Bombers, the winless team here in the league. Still couldn't get it done. Still competed to the end. Losing by 2 points is tough, especially when you have no wins on the season. You're still looking for your first win, but his team ultimately competed all the way to the end. He even had a 21-point game from his defense. It's just the little things. Like, once again, if he starts Cortland Sutton, who's been hot the last 3 weeks, he wins this week. You know, if he's able to switch out his quarterback and Caleb Williams and Kirk Cousins, who also been hot, but he didn't do so good this last game. But those 4 extra points that he would have got him the win since he was only down by 2. So it's the little things, As you can see between those two games, ultimately what came down to being in the win column or lose column is putting in the right personnel for you in that week. And that's very crucial right now when it comes to competing for a playoff game. Now that we don't talk about our games of the week, let's go ahead and talk about our crash outs of the week. And you see it as clear as day, just like me. We got 2 crash outs this week, and I first want to welcome in Coach Barlow from Mills Mafia, only putting up 96 points this week, and that's not good, especially at the point where we at right now, when we are 2 weeks out from the playoffs, and your team is not playing up to par, and you're trying to compete for a playoff spot or even going to the playoffs. You don't want to start off slow because your team's starting off slow right now. So he needs to figure it out, because this team's like Team Fabo, Coach Fabian over there, who is getting ready for the playoffs and playing like they are already in the playoffs, putting up 159 here in this league, for this week. So his team looking ready to go. His team looking like they ready to stick their way into the playoffs and show people what they're going to have to look forward to while going into the playoff run. Now, another team that made it here for Crash Out of the Week is no other than Shake and Bake. He been scoring low points all season long, so it's only a matter of time before he ended up here as a crash out here in this league. Only putting up 90 points this week, even though his opponent didn't put up that many points. He put up enough in the range of Shake and Bake, but Shake and Bake just couldn't get it done. His players just didn't show up for him. Like, I ultimately think when it comes down to, if I'm doing my analysis, he depends too much on Saquon Barkley. If Saquon Barkley does not put up numbers that week, as he didn't do this week, he struggled, only put up 8 points. He is not going to win throughout the week. He does not have the roster built around with consistency where players can step up other than the main star player on his roster. Now, I don't know what he's going to do. I think he should probably make some moves because looking at his bench, it's not too much promising. But if he wants to get into this playoffs, he can't just sit on his ass. He needs to make some moves, get some players, get some pieces that accumulate way more points than just one player, because right now he looking like Jerry Jones talking about, I don't care what we do. We either go make it into the playoffs or we not. But I'm not making no moves. And that's just not a good look for an organization. So those are two crash outs of the week, Mills Mafia and Shake and Bake. Now, going to look at the power rankings. As you can see, Coach Luck still at the top, sitting at 73. God bless Comerica right under him at 73. Most seeded minutes solidifying himself even more on this hot winning streak that he's on right now, sitting at 64. Team Fabo with Coach Fabian sitting at 64 with that hot game of 159 that we just talked about. Mills Mafia falling to 5-5 on a losing streak himself. He's trying to figure out all the injuries that he's dealing with. Team, fuck him. He has been running into some trouble lately, with competitive coaches putting up points on him and him not figuring out his own organization himself. With Malik Neighbors not scoring one touchdown in a month, you can see how Coach Cam is struggling for the past month. So he sits at 5-5. Running back on a win streak right now, he is 5-5. Shake and Bake falling all the way to 8 at 5-5. Because like we said, throughout the whole season, it still come down to points. And even though he was all the way at the top and he still got the same record as everybody who was under him that is now above him, he still put up the least amount of points. So he is the last 5-5 team for having the lowest points. Then we have Smooth Criminal, who is 4-6. Unfortunately, like we said, his playoff hopes is getting kind of slim based off last week. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but he's sitting at 4-6, and then Team DMV Bombers sitting at 0-10. Now, there's a lot of things going on right now. You saw the rankings. There's still a lot of hope for a lot of organizations at this point in this league. We still have non-competitive organizations that can still make the playoff push here in this league. Usually by this point in the Crash Out League, we might got 6-7 teams getting ready to go to the playoffs instead of having to compete to keep people out. And speaking on competing to keep people out, let's go ahead and dive into our next segment, which is called Welcome to the Hunt. Now, Welcome to the Hunt Crash Out Edition. What is the Hunt? So the Hunt is basically here in this part of the league where you got a couple weeks left and it's really going to get competitive out here in the field. There's no room for error. There's no room for mistakes. You need to get a win to get in. Now, here in the Hunt is where we're going to talk about everybody who's in that race, what they got to do to get in, what they can't allow to happen to get put out. It's either you're going to be the predator or you're going to be the prey. You either going to keep people out of the playoffs from taking your spot, or you going to fight your way in and bring somebody down so you could get into that playoff spot to maybe compete for that $1,000 pot and the Lombardi trophy at the end that we all shooting for. So welcome to the Hunt, where we break it all down for you. Now, just to revisit everything, so make sure everybody know we're on the same page. This is the power ranking. Team Luck, God bless Comerica, Most Seeded Minutes, Team Fabo, Mills Mafia, Team Fuck'em, Running Back, Shake It Bake, Smooth Criminal, and Team DMV Bombers. Now, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Team Luck. Team Luck is one of the teams that's almost guaranteed right now a playoff appearance here in 2024 in the Crash Out League. The only thing that they can do to solidify themselves is, again, one more win out of the 2 games left in the season, it'll basically secure them in the playoff spot. Now to get a potential number 1 seed, they will either win both games, or if they tie with God Bless America, they need to have more points at the end of it. So if they end up both going 1-1 at the end of the 2 weeks, Team Luck needs to have more points put up than God Bless America, which he has right now, to be able to keep the number 1 spot. Now, God Bless America. Same thing, guaranteed to get into the playoffs. Just get one more win and you're solidified. If you want that number 1 spot, you need to outscore Coach Luck and Team Luck over there, and make sure that if you need to be in that position, you need to put up hella points. Now, in order for those 2 teams to miss the playoffs, technically, they would have to lose the next 2 games, but then it'll come down to points. But based off their points, they're one of the highest teams putting up points right now, and it's going to be really hard for the teams to put up enough points in 2 weeks to knock them out. So missing the playoffs is like 0.5% for both of those teams. Mo City Minutes, who is hot right now, like I said, is now sitting there 6-4, been putting up hella points throughout the whole season, just haven't had the wins to show for it. And now he has the wins to show for it, and he's almost solidifying himself to the playoffs as well. He is 1 game away from like 4 or 5 organizations in the league who's chasing him. So in order for him to get into the playoffs, he does need to make sure that he gets 2 wins. He can get 1 win and try to outscore everybody else under him. But if he wants to guarantee himself at this point in the playoff run, he needs to win both games. Now, if he end up splitting, like I said, he still need to put up the points that he has, but no need to worry about that. He has been putting up hella points this whole season, and it's going to be really hard for the teams under him to put up more points in the next 2 weeks to catch up. Now, the way for him to miss the playoffs is to lose the next 2 games. Now, for him, it's more likely that he will miss the playoffs, unlike Coach Luck and Coach Mike, because, like I said, he's 1 game away from 4 or 5 different teams. If he end up losing in the next 2 weeks and the other 4 or 5 other teams win those 2 weeks out, then he'll be 1 game under, and that'll push him all the way out the playoffs. So he still needs to focus up and at least get 1 more win to make his statement stronger. And to guarantee he still needs to win another game. So he needs to get 2. Team Fabo, same thing as Mo City Minutes. He needs to win 1 week out of these 2 to get in a spot even better. And he needs to win 2 games to solidify himself. And if he ultimately ends up tying with other people under him and Coach Preach above him, he needs to have the points to back it up to keep himself in the playoffs. Right. Now, in order for him to miss the playoffs, it's the same thing. He got to miss the next 2 games. But it's going to be really hard for teams to really go over in points in him. So he would have to miss the next 2 games, and other groups would have to win the next 2 in order for them to push him out, wins versus loss scenario. Now, this is a pack where stuff gets really tricky. This could really go for everybody here in the next couple slides. Now, Mills Mafia fell to this point to 5-5 with a lose streak, but you're still in the race to go ahead and get into the playoffs. In order to get there, you need to win both games, finish in 7-5, and that will definitely secure you a spot here in the playoffs. Now, if you end up finishing the season in a split where you win 1 week, lose the next week, you need to have the points in order to back it up for you to get in. Now, in order for you to miss, though, since you don't have that 1 game advantage like the previous coaches, you will miss the playoffs. It's a guarantee. If you end up missing the next 2 games and you losing, if the other teams don't bang out because they're going against each other, you're going to miss the playoffs, coach. So you really need to sit there, lock in, and figure it out for the next 2 weeks. Same thing for Coach Cam and Team Fuck 'em. Started off pretty good, started off 5-2, been on this losing streak. You need to figure it out how to get these wins. You need to get 2 wins. That should be your mindset to guarantee yourself into the playoffs and putting up points. Now, right now, you're not one of the teams that put up that many points, so you really need to focus in on that and figure out how you can win these next 2 weeks. Because if it come down to points, you might just miss it. Now, another way for you to miss it is to lose the next 2 games. So really focus up. Now, running back, a team who been in the woodworks, just getting wins here and there, and then going on these low win streaks and everything. You need to win the next 2 games because out of the 4 teams who are tied at 5-5 right now, you are the bottom 2 in points. So if you ended up had to go in a battle of points, there's a chance that you will most likely miss the playoffs. So the only way for you to get in is to fight and win the next 2 weeks. You can't have a split unless you just put up hella points in the next 2 weeks. Now, for you to miss the playoffs, just like the other 2 teams, you lose the next 2 weeks, you're out. You're done. So really lock in and figure out how you're going to be able to get these next 2 wins. Now, Shake and Bake, you're in the same format. You need to win 2 to get in, guaranteed. If you do it in a split, it's going to come down to points. Now, you are the lowest scoring 5-5 team. So even if you do split 1-1, it's going to be very hard for you to get into the playoffs. So it's almost guaranteed that you will miss the playoffs if you don't win the next 2 weeks. So you need to hunker down and figure out how to put up points and how to get these next 2 wins for these next 2 weeks, or you miss the playoffs. Smooth Criminal, like we talked about earlier, he lost last week, and that made it even more harder for that organization to be able to get into the playoffs. The hopes are very slim since the highest that you can finish at the season is now 6-6, right at 500. And since you got so many 5-5 teams, you got to hope that the 5-5 team lose at least one or both games in order for you to get in there to have a tiebreaker depending on points and records. So you don't only need to win the next 2 weeks, you need to hope that the other 5-5 teams beat each other up, make them lose, and make them go 1-1 split instead of going 2-0. Because if enough of them go 2-0 in the next 2 weeks, and you don't, it's going to be hard for you to get into that playoff spot. So in order for you to miss the playoffs, it's going to come down to you losing just one game out of the 2. It is a must win for you for the next 2 weeks. Now, Team DMV Bombers, we all been talking about it for the whole season. It's no surprise. This team has been eliminated from the playoffs. They haven't accumulated not one win this season. It's been tough. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries. 1 through 4 is probably injured on a team. Main guys, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, they missed the whole season. So it's been pretty tough for this team. And we talk about it all the time. We're going to continue to talk about it because this is the first time in our league where we had somebody go winless throughout the whole season. Now, he still got 2 weeks to try to pull some people down and get his first wins. So let's not count him out yet, but we're rooting for you. We want to see you get at least one win here in this season. So keep going, even though you're 0. Just to go over it one more time so you guys know everything that's going on. The teams who are in control right now, it's going to be hard for them to miss the playoffs. Team Luck, God Bless Comerica, Mo City Midis, and Team Fabo. They control their destiny right now. All they got to do is at least win one more game. And then if they want to compete for a higher seed and keep people out, they can win the second game. Now, the people who are in the wild card chaos is Mills Mafia, Team Fuck'em, Running Back, Shake and Bake. That is all our 5-5 teams who need to get the next 2 wins in order to solidify themselves so it's not up for question. Some more than others. Now, Running Back and Shake and Bake, they damn near have to win the next 2 games, no splits, since they are the lower seeds because of points. Because if the other 2, Mills Mafia and Team Fuck'em, end up going to split with them, Running Back and Shake and Bake ain't going to make the playoffs because they don't put as much points as Mills Mafia and Team Fuck'em. So really lock in about that. Our dark horse here on the show is Smooth Criminal. He's the dark horse because you can't count him out. He's not out just yet. All he needs to do is continue to try to win, and he could find himself sneaking in at that number 6 spot. So he is our dark horse here for the hunt. And the people who are just out of contention is Team DMV Bomber. So that's everything in here for the hunt. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to that new segment. Really enjoy sharing that with you guys. I really hope that y'all was tuning in and listening what's going on in the league so you guys know what you got to do, what you got to watch for others doing in the league in order for you to solidify yourself here in the playoffs in the Crash Out League. Now, speaking on winning the next 2 weeks, let's go ahead and look into the week that's coming up that people should be focusing on right here. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of games here where it's like you can strategically keep a team out that you don't want to worry about in the playoffs, or you can strategically fight your way in depending on the matchups that you have. Now, there's a lot of playoff games still going on right now. We got some heavy hitters with the number 2 and number 3 right here. God bless Comerica and Mo City Menace, which I'll honestly say is our game of the week when it comes to powerhouses. So we're gonna pay attention to this lineup right here with these guys. But let's go ahead and pick a lineup where two teams are fighting to get into the playoffs, and this could be a big implication starting off right here in week 11. Mills Mafia versus running back. Now, like we were saying, both of these teams need to guarantee themselves by winning both games. They can't do that if they're playing each other right here in this week. So you could strategically keep a team out right now by going ahead and getting you a win right here. Now, Mills Mafia, if he beats running back, it almost solidifies running back missing the playoffs. Because, like I said, if he ends up in the split with any of the 5 teams, as long as it's not shake and bake, he will miss the playoffs because he doesn't put up the much point as Mills Mafia and Falkland over there with Coach Cam. So that could be a strategic move for Coach Barlow. Now, the only strategic move for Coach Jay Gibb over there at running back is getting the win. That's it. That's the only thing that should be on his mind. He needs to get this win because he needs both of them to guarantee to get into the playoffs because of the point situation. So just lock in, focus on that. This could be a hell of a game. People are going to be paying attention to this because this is going to determine maybe who gets that 5th spot, here in this league. So those are 2 games of the week. And if you want to go and pick a game that could be an upset of the week, we'll go right here with Team Fabo versus Shake and Bake. Shake and Bake is desperate right now. Even if they end up in the split, there's a good chance they miss the playoffs. So they need to come out firing and figure out how to get a win in the next 2 weeks so it don't end up being a split situation. So they need to go ahead and handle Coach Fabian, who is hot right now. So we'll see how this goes in this week and see if Coach MB could take out Shake and Bake in order to get into the playoffs. So those are our matchups and everything that's going on in the league right now. A lot of things is finna shake up. I might come back on this show with Manny next week, and it's gonna be all totally different in an uproar. You just never know what can happen here in the Crash Out League. Now, Coach is ready to lock in on what you're doing this week, playing the right players, right matchups, right times, in order for you to climb that rope in order to get into the playoffs. And the coaches that's already at the top, you need to hunker down because those coaches are coming. And if you let them get in, oh shit, they done let me in the door. They done gave your boy a chance now, young and finna block. Come on now. That shit real. So you better hunker down and keep them out so you can be able to go ahead and continue and fight there in the playoffs. Now, always at the end of the show, we want to talk about NFL matchups. Here in this league, it gets no better. It's NFL season. There's a lot of games lined up and a lot of games to pick from. So let's go ahead and start it off with the Commanders and Eagles Thursday, 7:15 Central Time. And in this game, I'm going to rock with the Commanders over the Eagles. Now, I know a lot of people, it's a rookie quarterback. He just came off a loss to the Steelers. It's going to probably be his first time really bouncing back after a loss. But this is what I want y'all to understand. This is a different rookie quarterback. This rookie quarterback has led the Commanders to a 7-3 start. First time in 50 years. He is an ex Heisman winner. He is a recent Heisman winner. Second pick in the NFL draft. He lives for the moments to prove people wrong, like he's been doing all of his career, going from Arizona State to LSU, and people thinking that wasn't going to transfer. He shows up in big time games. And I think with Marshawn Lattimore coming over to the Washington Commanders, he'll finally be kind of acclimated with the defense and be able to go out there and compete and even help that defense even more. So I'm going to ride with the Commanders this week. Then we got Ravens versus Steelers. Always a good game now. Always a good game. You could go either way. I wouldn't even be mad at you. But I'm not riding with you, Pops, this week. I'm riding with the Ravens. Let's go ahead and ride with them birds to go ahead and beat the Steelers this week. Knock them trouble towels out the air and stomp on them. Let's go, Ravens. Then we got a classic between two of the top quarterbacks, in the league, one and number three, Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. A rivalry that's been brewing and creating ever since they came into the league that reminded everybody of similarities between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna pick the Chiefs this game just based off history and how the Chiefs are finding any ways to get it done. It's not like they beating the crap out of people. They just figuring out how to get a win, no matter what it takes. They are all built and they all buying into the program in order to get a win for that week. And I can't go against a team that's doing that. So I'm gonna ride with the Chiefs this week to go ahead and beat the Bills. And I know we always do 3 games, but I'm going to go ahead and do a bonus game this week because there's no way we go this week without talking about this game right here. Monday Night Football. We got the Texans versus the Cowboys. I don't remember the last time this has ever even happened. My whole life growing up in Texas, I was like, why the Texans and the Cowboys not in the same division? We in the same state. That don't make no sense. You know what I mean? They should just put us together since we down the road from each other. So it was always hard to find a game where it was those two in the same building and competing against each other. So this is like a big Texas Bowl, big Texas Bowl. This is the rivalry of the city of Houston versus the city of Dallas. It's going to be crazy. It's going to probably be the biggest game here in this week, even though Dak is down and they playing with Cooper Rush. People still going to be tuned in, talking a lot of trash. A lot of things going to be going on. So this is gonna be a very big game. So that I'm gonna put that as a bonus game. And I'm riding with Texas, man. I'm gonna rep the city this time. Us versus Dallas, how could I not? Fuck the boys, you know what I'm saying? Talk about that America's team, boy. Anyway, appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode here in the Crash Out League. I really appreciate y'all sticking in this long if you made it to the end of this video. Please leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to say that one more time. Leave a like. Go ahead. Okay. Now go subscribe if you ain't already subscribed. I give you time. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If you want to leave a comment, that's on you. I ain't going to force that matter. You know what I mean? Do what you want to do. But please leave a like and subscribe. Get the numbers up so people go see us all over the place. But appreciate y'all for sticking it out with me. I hope y'all like the new thing that I did today. I know it was just me. I hope I was a lot of fun and got you a lot of information, but I did my best. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I'll catch y'all next week with Manny because that boy be back.